So I did not announce this. I just got on live, and the chances that anyone will join me are slim. But I thought, well, let me just log on, see if a couple people maybe get on. Never know. Nice weather here in Mexico. It looks like somebody jumped on here. Welcome. I just logged on a couple minutes ago. So this is mostly going to be Q&A. I don't have any reactions or content to add to this because YouTube, you have to use a special software, and I'm a pretty smart guy, but I haven't figured it out yet. All right, I see another person has joined us. Welcome. I logged on 6 minutes ago, just without any announcement. So we're going to be doing Q&A mostly, or just chatting. No reactions or content. Whoop, he left. She left. Nobody wants to be the first one on here. Okay, so Vapid, is that you? Okay, the goat. You hear about the new Swans live album? It's crushing. I have not. Tell me more about it. And I've never seen the Swans. That's one band I never caught in concert. While you're, I don't know if you're typing or not, but I'm going to go in and look at the Swans in Wikipedia here. If I can type around my microphone here. Okay, going to their discography now. Okay, they don't have a listing for it. Yeah, it's not even up on Wiki yet. It's called Live Rope. I think it's from their latest tour. It's very heavy and entrancing. Okay, so I can make a note of that. We've done the Swans, I think, one time on the channel, and it's a good suggestion because I own some Swans. I have um, a set of their EPs that was compiled, um, and I am familiar with them. And then the album with the baby on the front, the little baby, love that. I forget what it's called, but I love that album, and I'm really familiar with it. But I'm not familiar with their whole catalog. So it's possible. It's possible we could be doing something from that, especially if there's some video. Yeah, it would be cool. Vapid, where are you from? Yeah, to be kind. That's exactly right. At first, I thought you were. I just thought you were commenting. Okay, Florida. So I was just watching. I watch another channel called Just JP, and he's from Orlando. And I watch his channel regularly. So I, believe it or not, I have never been to Florida. Just it's one of those places I've never been to. And I meet people here in Mexico from Florida all the time. But I've never been to Florida or Georgia, or just never around that part of the country. That means I've never been to the Caribbean, however you want to say it, because you pretty much got to go to Florida to go there. It looks like we got a second person on here, I think. So welcome, whoever you are. You ever heard of a band called Unwound? Yes, that double album of theirs I love. I did a series. You can look it up. It's got a different playlist. It's my 30 favorite albums, and I did the years 2000 through 2009. And then I quit because, that was 300 albums. That was a lot of work. That took me well over a year to work on that project. But Unwound actually made my top 30 one year. Leaves Turn Inside You. Yeah, that's so I don't know their whole catalog, but Leaves Turn Inside You. Like I say, I like it enough that it was one of my 30 favorite albums of that particular year that it came out. So whatever year that was, you can, if you're interested, you can type in 30 favorite albums and look for that year, and I'll be talking about that album. But I think Unwound is at least that particular album is wonderful. And the fact that it's a double is no problem at all. It seems to hold interest. It's one of those double discs that you would not say it should have been made into a single album. I think it's a double. You say, or at least I say, yeah, it's good as a double. I like it that way. Yeah, I like all that feedback and distortion with melody. Like everything they do on there is catchy, but it's arty. Yeah, it's great stuff. All their albums are good, but yeah, Leaves is their most ambitious and one might say most accessible. I don't know if you would agree with that. You've listened to the whole catalog, but because Unwound's not everybody's cup of tea, right? That maybe that marks my age a little bit. People used to say, do the young people say it's not your cup of tea? Or should I drop that from my vernacular? We used to all say that. We used to say it's not your cup, it may not be your cup of tea. You're in your 20s, you don't hear it much. That's what I thought. I told a woman in business one time when I worked, I said, and be sure to dot your I's and cross your T's. And she looked at me with a glazed look. I said, tell me you know what that means. She shook her head. I went, oh, geez. Because I try not to be, it's hard because if I adopt the new vocabulary, it's not authentic. So if I get on this channel and I say, for example, um, oh, even stuff from when I was, eh, you know, younger than this, but still, 40s or something, people started saying things were sick or bad, right? That's kind of 90s, late 80s, early 90s talk. Oh, that's so sick. Oh, I know what it is. Today, people on channels say that's dope, right? Everything is dope. And I don't say dope because I didn't grow up with it. It doesn't feel authentic. It feels like I'm wearing ripped jeans or something, distressed jeans or something like. They just wouldn't look good on me, and dope doesn't sound good on me. So when you catch yourself saying these older things, this will happen to all of you. You'll start saying something, and you'll recognize that it's an older comment that not everybody knows what it means, but you don't know what to replace it with. Yeah, kids say it's lit. Yeah, so see if I go, man, that's really lit. You guys will be like, he's a poser. He's an actor. So I have to be authentic. So how do I be authentic? So anyway, what helps is I just got to drop certain things that I say. Yeah, lit instead of dope, and neither one of those are authentic In other words, you know what I mean by authentic. If I say them, I'm saying them because that's, it's not my natural way of speaking. But I can't say something is neat or rad or boss. We used to say boss. Oh, it's so boss. And those are stupid things to say today. But by contrast, if I say lit or dope, that doesn't sound right either. So I have to adopt this other vocabulary. It's interesting. You'll all go through it. Yeah. So whoever was on here, Vap had left. So it's just you and me, but I appreciate your getting on. That's for sure. I got to check out that Swans. Who else you interested in that you think I might not know about? Because Swans and Unwound, I know. I didn't leave, dog. Yeah. I don't say dog either. It's kind of like what George Carlin said, like wearing your hat backwards. He said, once you hit your 50s, turn that MFR around. Yeah, Boris. We did Boris on the channel. We did one song, and I like the album Pink. That's what it was from. So I ended up listening to the entire album Pink because I think I was doing a thing related to taste like music. I was critiquing their channel and going through their picks, and I loved Pink. I thought Pink was great. They're the band from Japan, right? Like a trio. They're like a power punk noise rock trio from Japan, Tokyo, if I remember. So I tried to listen to them. Um, yeah, I tried to listen to more of them, but then the problem too is when I listen to people, I should listen on channel because then I'm wasting a potential reaction. So I just kind of sampled them a little bit, and it was good. But Pink, man, Pink, that hits the spot. Yeah. So Florida must be nice, kind of like Mexico now. Mexico's beautiful. It's going to be about 80 today. There's this one Japanese artist that I did that I just love. I'm trying to remember her name. Um, I picked her up off. She was really highly rated on Rate Your Music, and Rate Your Music sometimes has this more obscure stuff. But I checked it out. It's fantastic. Loved it, and I'm trying to think of her name. Man, she's good. I like her. Yeah, it would take me too long to find it. What is her? Yeah, I hate that when I forget. Fisherman's, no. Or Fishman's. Fishman's, no. I haven't heard of Fishman's. So you got me on that one. Oh, Japanese pop band. Okay, here we go. Looks like they're a quartet, maybe. Yeah. Well, maybe a trio originally. They're like a Japanese dream dub pop kind of. I actually have some Japanese dub, or had it. It was on cassette. So there was this cassette only label. It was called ROIR, Reach Out International Records. And they did albums that were only released on cassette. They didn't do any vinyl. They didn't do any CDs, and they were out of New York. And I bought a bunch of their CD or a bunch of their cassettes because they were interesting. One was Japanese dub. It's really interesting. It's by a percussionist, Japanese percussionist that goes by the name of Pecker, which isn't supposed to be funny. But his name is Pecker, and really good stuff. Yeah, really, really good. One of the best live from the '90s. They have a really solid discography and an amazing live album. Yeah, let me check that out. I'll be not looking at the screen for a second here. Okay, they only have information on a couple of their albums. The Long Season and Uchu Nippon Setagaya. That gets really good. Long Season gets really good ratings. One Piece. Uchu Nippon. Huh. Yeah, I don't see the. It was the singer's last show before he passed. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know if they're. Oh, here we go. They have several live albums. Okay. Oh, Mountain, Liquid Room, Long Season '96. One that, and then two that don't have a really a translation. Interesting. So, yeah, it died '99. Crap. So, um, Sato died March 15th, 1999. The passing of Sato was so sudden, Polydor, their record label, had already prematurely scheduled the release of two compilation releases for only 2 days after his death. Interesting. So I don't think it has a cause of death here. Wow. So he must not have been very old, I take it. Yeah, he must have been in his 20s or something. It's the highest rated live album on Rate Your Music. Wow. So, yeah, and usually those guys are spot on. It's interesting, like Rate Your Music. They have sometimes a little bit of Rate Your Music. It's like, it's, you know, sometimes I agree and sometimes I don't. So they have a little bit of a bias towards, I would say, a bias towards things that are kind of more unique or avant garde. And so that works for me a lot of times because I like really adventurous music. But then sometimes I'll listen to something that's highly rated and I just won't get it. So it's interesting. Rate your music. What they that bias works against them with a band like U2. You look at U2's albums, and aside from the Joshua Tree, none of their albums ever make the top 100. Uh, that bias of uniqueness and avant-gardeness, it works against a kind of a people's band. That's why I picked on U2 because they're kind of a populist band, and uh, and U2 never scores high on Rate Your Music. It's a little bit of a bias against REM and some of the other big. If somebody was big and popular, then it hurts them on that thing a little bit, that platform. But then you discover really cool stuff like this. So that's why I use multiple critic sites so that I can get you know, because sometimes I like popular music too, right? Just because it's commercial doesn't mean it's bad. Usually it is, but not always. Okay, we got three people on here now, and you're welcome to get on here and chat. Right now, I'm just chatting with Vapid from Florida. We're doing Q&A and chat. We're not doing any particular content, but we're talking about different bands and people he might want to turn me on to or have me react to on the channel. But yeah, I'd love it if you got on the chat box and let me know who you are and where you're from. Sometimes I get people from, yeah, all over the world. I've had people on here from Finland and Belarus and Russia and I think Czech Republic one time and just all over. It's cool. So we're talking about this band called the Fishmans, I believe, right? So this is yeah, Fishmans, because we were talking about Boris, which is a Japanese band. Then that led to discussion on Fishmans, um, who their singer died young, so it cut their career short, I guess. And but Vapid is telling me all about them. Okay, so those other two people left. So I appreciate you chatting with me, Vapid. It's really cool. Someone else has just logged on. Um, yeah, like I say, I didn't announce this live stream. I'm just in the garden on a beautiful day, and I thought, let me bring my microphone out here and let's just see if anyway. Because most people, I figure if you're young, you work during the week more than likely. Not that everyone works Monday through Friday, but Sunday to me is a good day for a live stream. So if you just joined us, we're doing chat and Q&A. You get on here in the chat box to talk about whatever you want to talk about or ask questions. But let me know where you're from. That'd be great if I knew where you're from. Vapid, do you remember the last person you saw in concert? Presuming if you're in Florida, I figure you go to a concert once in a while. Oh, cool. Billy Woods. I reacted to his performance on KEXP, and the other guy, Kenny Siegel, when I posted on Twitter, Kenny Siegel answered me back. It was really cool. He said he didn't understand reactions. He didn't know what they were all about, but they was cool. And if you saw Billy Woods with Kenny Siegel, I was really impressed with Kenny. I mean Billy too, but those two are a really good pair. I think I think they complement each other really nicely. But it was really nice to have a comment on my channel from Kenny. It was really cool. Boy, Billy Woods is the first time I reacted to him. If you haven't watched that video, it was all about Hypatia and this stuff from a couple, from Egyptian times, this history, and or not, no, I'm sorry. Now there was some Egyptian stuff in there. Hypatia was much later, but the one that was brutally killed in the in front of the library or whatever that story was, it just blew me away. I can't remember the name of the song now. Well, the reason I can't look is I look on YouTube Studio and I'm in YouTube Studio right now. Kenny wasn't there, but yeah, Billy is one of the best rappers right now. Well, yeah, definitely, or at least I would say one of the best rap writers. That's for sure. There's lots of people with a good cadence and a good rap style, but Billy's got something to say. I think that's what differentiates him. Ethiops, yeah, that might have been it. Um, yeah, I'll have to go to. I can go to YouTube Studio in Windows. I can go there. So let me see what it was. Sorry. It was the first reaction I did. Well, the first one I did was FaceTime. No, here it is. Remorseless and Smith plus Cross. Episode 147. That's the first one I ever did. I did two songs, Remorseless and Smith plus Cross. And it was remarkable. Still remember it. Oh, okay. So this is, oh, I see. Lebowski 5. Welcome. Welcome, Lebowski 5. Can you tell us where you're from? Okay, we got someone else who's joined us. So welcome. We're doing chat, Q&A, just hanging out on a beautiful day in Mexico. Would love to know who you are and where you're from. Yeah, Billy Woods live in concert. Vapid, that's cool that you got to see him. His IQ, it's just, his IQ is higher than the average rapper or musician. I think really. I mean, anyone who writes words, whether they be sung or spoken or sung spoken. He's just got a real gift for language. So I get why he's an up and coming star. So Vapid, you'll have bragging rights later. So like one thing about getting older is you start to talk about the concerts you've seen, and people are like, "Wow, you saw so." Someday someone might say, "Wow, you saw Billy Woods back in the 2020s? Cool." Some of the shows I went to when I was young, there's people I'm so glad that I went and saw them, especially the ones that are gone. So like one of the first shows I ever saw when I was still in high school, and I didn't have much money. I paid $6.50. Yeah, $6.50 when I was a senior in high school to go see David Bowie. So was that a good choice? Oh yeah, obviously. Because now I can say I saw the Station to Station tour. It was fabulous and it was cheap. That's the one thing I feel sorry for each generation that has to pay because everything's gone up. But the thing is that if you look at a gallon of gas, it doesn't really cost people that much more than it ever did. When you index the price of gasoline to people's wages, it's been pretty flat. You look at concert tickets, and you have to work 5 or 6 times as many hours to buy a ticket as I did. And I feel really bad about that. Those concert ticket prices have gone up, um, like say 5, 6, 7 times. Whereas other things like I picked on gasoline or maybe apples or something, they cost people the same they ever did. So we got another person that's joined us, and yeah, if you want to let us know who you are and where you're from, that'd be great. We're just chatting about music and doing some Q&A. It's just a beautiful day here in Mexico. Yeah, so I don't have any reactions or content. That takes. I've tried to do that on OBS Studio where I can react to something live as you guys recommended. But I'm having trouble with that software. Last time I used it, my audio was working, but my visuals, my camera was shut down. And there was no picture, so I couldn't. Of course, I guess I could do one without you guys looking at me. That's a thought, huh? So I'm not getting any more comments, which is fine. I just, if you guys are typing, I'm not seeing them. Yeah. Yeah. So everything's in the chat box today. That's what we're doing is just a chatting stream. Yeah, let me know where you're from. If you're a subscriber, that'd be cool to know. My channel's still saying 94% of people are not subscribed, which is pretty high, actually. So one thing I had to give up moving to this place in Mexico here is that I don't get to see many concerts, about one per year. So the last person I saw here was Leela Downs. Um, though there are some people that live here that are retired musicians. I've got a friend here who was a drummer for Van Morrison. Um, there are some people with connections, but most of them are now retired. They just play for fun here. But saw Leela Downs about a year ago, 2 years ago. I saw Herbie Hancock. I saw Buena Vista Social Club here. The concert they had this year was the Gypsy Kings. I decided not to go because I'm not really a big fan of that. I like that kind of music, but not a big fan of that band. So, but we get about one concert a year here. And that was really hard to give up because I love concert going. And I said, if you retire in this town in Mexico, you're not going to be able to see concerts anymore. So, Vapid, if you're still on here, you're the only one. We had four people on here, but three of them signed off. So, I guess people don't want to chat today. Um, I'll stay on a few minutes longer in case anyone's got a comment or okay, someone else has just joined on. Welcome. We're doing Q&A in the chat box or just whatever you want to talk about, of course. Just enjoying a beautiful, beautiful day here in Mexico. What is it? It's 81 degrees, which is pretty nice for a mile high city. Yeah, we're way up in the mountains here, not anywhere near the beach. So any songs or content that I play will not be recorded on this live stream, and you won't be able to watch it because I need a special software like OBS Studio. Oh, we had three, then two, then one. So yeah, I don't know. Been on 46 minutes. I just wanted to see if anybody get on, but yeah, I'll stay on a couple more minutes. We'll see what happens. But yeah, kind of like a flash mob. This. Oh, there's my cat. There's my cat on camera. That's Leo. Cool. All right, Obed. Hey, how you doing? Never been here before. Okay, so if you don't know what we normally do, uh, I'm not sure if you're saying you've never been on the channel or never been on live stream. I haven't done a live stream in a couple of years, but what I'm doing is most reaction channels are a young person doing old music from before they were born, classic rock. Somebody in his or her 20s or something, or teens, listening to Pink Floyd or AC/DC or the Beatles for the first time. Um, and what I do is I, I thought of that model the other way around one day in 2022. And I said, are there any old people doing young music? Just flip the model on its head. And I couldn't find anything, or at least I couldn't find anything other than channels where they were going, wow, wow, wow. I wanted one where they're talking about the music. Yeah. And Obed, so yeah, I'm just like, well, how about a older person doing young people's music? So that's what I do. And the secret sauce is the vocabulary. Well, that and having always listened to new music, I never stopped. Maybe because I didn't have kids, so there was nothing to stop me. And then I was married to a high school teacher who would come home with suggestions from her students, so that kept both of us really young. And my wife would bring stuff home. She'd say, "Hey, I got this new band called the White Stripes. Listen to this," or the Strokes, or whoever it was that she liked, and then I would find stuff and I'd bring it home. And so we just stayed current, and then I know the language. My opinion isn't any more valuable than anyone else's, but I do have perspective, I guess, right? I've seen a bunch of people in concert and that kind of thing. So thanks for the lovely comment. I know what you do. I love it, man. Thank you, Obed. Tell me where you from, how old you are. I'd like to know just a little bit more about you. If you're not subscribed, I could use more subscribers. 94% of my viewers are not subscribed. Not trying to guilt trip you, but it would help the channel. Yes, I've been on a little bit of a break. I haven't uploaded any content in a little while. Just taking a brief break from the channel, and I was all ready to go back and start recording videos when I got a severe allergy attack. I could hardly even talk last week, so I had to put it off another week. But I hope to be uploading more content on Tuesday. Okay, someone else is logged on. Welcome. We're doing Q&A and chat. So we've got Obed on here. Yeah, a specific allergy or just like in general. Well, I don't know. But it is November. Well, now December today, but so November, December, probably weeds or trees. That's generally what I'm allergic to, and my allergies are better here in Mexico than they were in Arizona. But I still get a couple attacks every year. You might be able to hear it a little bit. I'm a little froggy today. It's also dry and dusty here. We have a rainy season. I moved to Mexico. I think it's interesting. It was based on my birthday, but I moved here in Febrero, February 2020. I was here 4 weeks and the pandemic hit. That turned out to be wonderful timing because I got here beforehand. I'd already downsized, canceled my lease on my apartment, drove down here, and then the pandemic hit, and here I am stuck in Mexico. C'est la vie. So it turned out great. This was a much better place to ride the pandemic out. Where I came from in Arizona, everything is air conditioned. Your car, the mall, your workplace. And here, everything's open air. So it's a lot safer. A lot of restaurants, if they had patios, were allowed to stay open. So I could still go out to eat. I could still go get a cup of coffee. Things were not shut down quite as much as the States. And so it worked out really well. Yeah. So I'm coming up pretty quickly here on 5 years. COVID countless times. Possible to avoid someone's breath. Yeah. So as you can imagine, here where I am in the mountains up in Mexico, um, where very few people have heating and cooling. Yeah, it's crazy. We're already halfway through the 2020s. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's so when I told people I do new music on this channel and somebody mentioned to me Nirvana, I said I hate to break the news to you, but Kurt Cobain killed himself 30 years ago. Uh that's grunge is not new music. That's already that's already historic. I mean, there's people my age who still think of grunge as a new kind of music. Uh, we've moved past that. So I hear a lot of people, sometimes trash the music of the younger people. And I always remember that my parents told me to turn that shit down. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to be one of these grumpy old men. Any new music you really just don't like much. Well, I got into trouble a little bit because, like, if I record something and I don't like it, I usually just bury the reaction because I don't want to be this older guy. I'm 66 years old. I don't want to be this older guy getting on here and disparaging the new music because there's so much great music. But if I do a community poll, then I'm stuck because the people that voted for the reaction. And the one I got into a little bit of trouble on, and partly because I recorded it at 4 in the morning and I was sleepy and I wasn't as articulate as usual, but I got into trouble over my Olivia Rodrigo reaction. I liked her, but I didn't love her. And of course, people rave about her and say she's some kind of savior. But what happens when you're older? When you're older, you don't know you don't know more, but you've heard more things. So maybe something doesn't sound as novel or fresh to my ears as it might someone else. So like I was doing this song about she was singing about a vampire and it was metaphorical for relationship. I just heard it before, I didn't think it was that novel. Um yeah, she's decent. But her music doesn't relate to me. But yeah, I completely understand. I just think she's okay. I think she's got a good voice. Um, yeah, you were listening to Vampire today, so that's a decent song. But we've been talking about vampires for decades. Vampire movies were very popular in the 1980s. There was a whole slew of vampire movies. Um, you would keep it on. It's not an offensive song. There aren't many people that I hate, but the ones I don't like Ed Sheeran, I don't enjoy his music at all. And then I'm not too crazy. Here's the one that's really controversial. But I listened to Beyonce's album where she's on the horse, that double album. I listened to the whole thing. I don't know. I'm the bitch at the bar, you know. I was just like, all right, whatever. Um, but I like to watch her. I like to watch her dance. I like to watch her move. I like her personality. But I find some of her music to be boring, in my opinion. I don't dislike it. I just it's kind of meh, you know. Um, and I'm not a Swifty. She's okay, but I'm not a Swifty. Picking on the most popular people. Who else do I dislike? Oh, you don't like Radiohead? Wow. See, I love Radiohead. Yeah, Taylor Swift. It's just like on a scale of 1 to 10, I give her a 5, which is like the worst rating I can give somebody. I don't love her. I don't hate her. I'm just like, yeah, okay, she's all right. Um, my So I realize I have a little bit of a bias because some of my favorite '90s bands still have one foot in classic rock, like I like Drive By Truckers, and they still got one foot in the old music. So it's easy for me to listen to. I like Wilco, and they still mine a lot of old styles. Radiohead is probably my favorite band that's really what I would call a true modern band. I love Radiohead, but I like you're saying you said to be honest. So that's fair. That's fair. They're artsy, they're artsy, and that's not everybody's wheelhouse or whatever you want to say. I was just talking about I used a saying. I said it's not everyone's cup of tea. And then I asked Vapid when he was on. I said, "Do you know that phrase?" He said, "No." I said, "Yeah, see, I got to drop that." So instead I said, "Maybe it's not in your wheelhouse." Tom York does get on my nerves. I understand that. There's bands that we like that we understand why other people don't like them, and there's bands we like that we don't understand why anybody wouldn't like them. But with Radiohead, I totally understand. Um, I like his lyrics and his paranoia, and you know, one thing about him as a singer, he doesn't have that falsetto jump. He can sing right through. You know that thing where you sing high and all of a sudden your voice drops. You have that glottal thing where you just like miss an entire range. He's got this range. It is a remarkable instrument, whether you like it or not. You can at least listen to him as an acrobat and say, yeah, pretty phenomenal. Um, People I don't like. I was there's people that conflict me. I did a reaction to even though I kind of knew him. I did a reaction to Greta Van Fleet, and I don't mind the singer at all, but I didn't like the keyboards on the song. And man, that's when I ran into the fanboys and the fangirls. They were not happy. Earl Sweatshirt and Billy Woods is ultimately where it's at. Yeah, I'm a bigger Billy Woods fan, though I like Earl Sweatshirt's cadence. But Billy's a real wordsmith. I just think he's a real high IQ writer. Uh, Sonically, I like them both, but lyrically, I think I prefer Billy Woods. Yeah, so I've done some Billy Woods reactions on the channel, like four of them. So if you're interested, you can go watch those. The first one I did was Remorseless and Smith plus Cross. Um, really good stuff. And then I did some of his material on KEXP, which I put on Twitter and was extremely pleased that Kenny Siegel commented on my tweet. That was really cool. Just a little brief comment from Kenny, but I think he's really good. Yeah, replay value. Isn't that interesting? Because I was just watching a video from Taste Like Music. They were talking about Layla and other assorted love songs by Derek and the Dominoes. That's an album from 1970 with Eric Clapton and Dwayne Allman. And I wrote him, I said, objectively, that's a great album. And yet I never play it. It's a great album. 4 out of 4 stars. I never play it. It just doesn't call to me. Like I've heard it a few times. I'm like, okay, I'm good. He pisses me off, and I didn't grow up listening to him anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, Clapton's a really good example of a guy who objectively is extremely talented, pretty decent singer, wrote some good songs, and I just don't find myself playing his music a lot. It's not because I don't like it. It's because of this replayability that you're talking about with Billy Woods. Some music, when you play it over and over again, you get you get new revelations, right? More will be revealed. And I think the problem with Layla and other assorted love songs is every time I play that album, it's the same experience. Ginger Baker, yes. I'm a big fan of Ginger Baker. Not so much as a human being, but as a drummer. Yeah, awful person. So I watched this documentary, if you've never seen it. It's called Beware Mr. Baker. It's all about his life story. And yeah, he does not suffer fools. He's not particularly graceful or civil with people, but he's a wonderful drummer. Yeah, it's the one where he attacks the interviewer, and the interviewer left it in, which was brilliant. Um, that's a great documentary. I love it because I like documentaries that are warts and all, where they show. Like, there's a documentary on BB King that I watched, and they asked him right to his face, like, "You've been called a womanizer. You know, how do you respond to that?" And he says, he thinks about it for a second. He said, that might be fair. I do like the women. Totally the wrong answer, right? But they left it on camera because it's just great. And I like that because then you get to really know that, instead of a scrubbed or whitewashed documentary, or worse yet, a biopic. I usually don't watch biopics. But the one exception with Clapton and Baker is I own Cream's reunion concert at the Royal Albert Hall. Yeah, biopics. I've never seen Bohemian Rhapsody or Rocket Man. I won't watch them because I don't need to see a scrubbed version. Um, especially when I've seen them. I've seen Queen and I've seen Elton John. I've seen them in concert. I don't need to watch a movie, but Cream's reunion concert at the Royal Albert Hall is absolutely awesome and stellar. Love it. I'm going to perform in the Royal Albert Hall in about 2 weeks on the main stage. Really? A charity event. So do you play with the band or under your own name? One of the side rooms. Okay. I didn't know they had side rooms, but that makes sense. Wow. Royal Albert Hall. It's something to pass down, I guess, a memory you'll always have. Oh, wow. That's pretty awesome. Has to be a song by a female singer songwriter, though. Okay, so the charity event's tied in somehow. Kara Jackson, we did one video on Kara Jackson, if I recall. So let me check that out. Let me type her name in. Yeah, Dickhead Blues. So when when I did Kara Jackson, um, you'll never guess who commented. Her mother. See if I can find that. Uh, I thought she was the one. Let me see here. Um, I've been. Well, I thought that I might be wrong. Maybe it's someone else. I thought it was Kara Jackson's mother that wrote me. You're performing Dickhead Blues. Okay, great. So I did a reaction to that song. I liked it. Promotes women in music, amazing artist. She needs to release more music. Yeah, and it didn't it didn't perform that well on my channel. Let's see if I can tell you how many views it got. I mean, it's really a shame. I did this in well, it's now got 194 views, so that's respectable. Got pushing 200 views, but it it was really slow out of the gate. It took 3 months to get 50 views, but maybe she's catching on now because it looks like the views are exponentially increasing over time. Yeah, she's a very new artist. That's one of the problems with the channel is I don't mean problems, but that keeps it from being a mega channel is that people often want to watch a reaction to something they already know. So if you're pushing a new artist and new song, you're automatically not going to get as many views because there's a nostalgia thing that goes on with most reaction channels. We want to watch somebody, we want to see a response that we've long forgotten how we felt when we first heard that album. So the familiarity pushes the artist. And when I did Kara Jackson, people just didn't know who she was. But it'd be nice if people watched videos anyway, because then you might learn something. But I think most people they're not looking to learn something. They're watching to recapture something, to recapture an old feeling that they've forgotten about. So that's cool that you're gonna sing at Royal Albert Hall. Yeah. So you're gonna do Dickhead Blues. Well, yeah, absolutely. So I watch other reaction channels and I usually end up watching something that I already know, but I try to push myself to listen to some new things too. But I'll see something, like I like Just JP, and he just did a Joni Mitchell song, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I got to watch this because it's a song that I love, and he loved it too." And that thing where we were like, "Yep, I remember when I first heard that song." Oh, you've never heard Joni Mitchell? I love both. I regret that I never got to see Joni Mitchell in concert. I did see Frank Zappa though. I never saw Joni Mitchell, but I'm a bigger Joni Mitchell fan. She's really grown on me over the years. Um, so you're probably adventurous. So I don't think you need to start with. I mean, most people would say start with Blue, but I would say start with The Hissing of Summer Lawns because I think you could go as. uh, so what's the difference? Blue is very singer songwritery with piano, guitar, and dulcimer, and The Hissing of Summer Lawns is very jazz influenced with really good bass and guitar and vibes and electric piano and things like that. So um, depends. Yeah, Joni's just great. My favorite, yeah, Blue is her most highest rated album. Um, it's not my personal favorite, but it's most people's personal favorite. So yeah, it's a good one to start with. Her voice is incredible on it, but later her voice would drop and register. So when I listen to Blue, I'm always struck by how she can really hit the high notes. And as her career went on, she began to not be able to hit the high notes, but then she could hit low notes. So it's a trade off. If you're a lyrics person, then Joni's for you because she's one of the great lyricists. She has a song called Amelia about, ostensibly about Amelia Earnhardt. It's not really about Amelia Earnhardt, but that's where the title comes from. And it's the most incredible poetry. Yeah, need to start writing my own songs. Though I got a friend, you'll like this. He says, whatever you did today, that's what was most important to you. So if you haven't written songs, I mean, that's the hardest thing in life is the I need to start, making a change in life. Because if you haven't written songs, then yeah, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but how important is that to you? And if it is important, then you got to do it. But there's a lot of things. I mean, I should learn Spanish, but I'm not doing a very good job. So I've had to accept that. But yeah, Joni's one of the great classic lyricists and singers. Just has a way with words. I'm halfway there, song structure all planned out and chords all there, and I have a list of hundreds of little lyrics I can use, but I've really just been procrastinating a song idea. Yeah. Yeah. I can't give you any advice because I don't write songs. So I don't understand the process. I guess for me, it'd be more like just writing. Well, that's a good idea, keeping a notebook, because then you can go back to it anytime you want. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When you get famous, definitely shout me out. And yeah, definitely. What name do you perform under? Do you mind telling me? Okay. I don't know if people say, and here's Obed. Okay. It would probably be Obed. I like that name. I'm not familiar with it. I've talked to a lot of people in my lifetime, and I don't remember ever meeting or talking to an Obed. Okay. Well, Gene's my middle name. So there you go. Oh, okay. The Book of Ruth. Ruth's son. Okay. Obed. The singer Lyle Lovett had an album called um, Joshua Judges Ruth. You get the joke there or the pun? Jesus' great great granddad. Okay. Yeah. Joshua Judges Ruth. Very clever album title. Grew up quite religious. Uh huh. Yeah. I grew up with a certain amount of that. Yeah. Religion. I do go to a congregation. Um, it's pretty liberal in terms of talking religion now, not talking politics. Though it actually is kind of liberal politically too. But yeah, I didn't think I'd ever go to a church, but I found one that I kind of like. I'm really influenced by Albert Camus. Do you ever read Camus? He's got some ideas on religion that are very interesting. There is somebody else on here. If you want to jump on, please jump on. I heard of Camus, but I have no idea of anything about him. Yeah, he was an author, but he had a lot of existentialist thinking, and he just felt like nobody has the answers. That if he were alive today, he probably would say that God does not have a YouTube channel. And so, what we get from the universe is silence. When you go out into space, it's silent. So, he just felt like all this meaning that we ascribe is human based, and there's nothing wrong with it. But that if your life has meaning, you've ascribed your own meaning to your own life. Yeah, so it's the idea that if I think I know something that you don't know, that's probably hubris. Because the first language of the universe is silence. And all the noise is made here on earth. And that includes all our talking, all our writing, and all our thinking, and all our ideas. So what he says is there's no inherent meaning. That's a really important word. Inherent. There's no meaning, there's no inherent meaning in the universe. It doesn't mean you can't find meaning or a meaningful life, but it's not in the DNA of the universe. So he would say everything's man-made, everything. I don't know if that makes any sense, but anyway, I guess we're a little off topic, but that's okay. It's a small group, and anyway, I find Camus very powerful. So when I said that God does not have a YouTube channel, what Camus would say is that the Bible is not divinely written. It's written by man. That's what he would have believed. He's long dead now. Um, yeah, he just didn't believe in a lot of um, a divine word or anything like that. So I think that makes sense. Probably people disagree with it. That's fine. My sisters would disagree with that. Ah, Hobbes. Yeah, awful ideas, huh? So they probably weren't awful at the time, though. They probably were taken seriously at the time. Hobbes. I'm trying to think if he was. I'm trying to think. Yeah, trying to remember if Hobbes was the one that kind of felt that we were all having a strong leader, even a totalitarian leader. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that particular piece of writing. I belong to a philosophy club and I listen to a philosophy podcast, but it's been years since I've listened to anything on Hobbes. Yeah, that's living pretty old in the 1600s. But I know they use the adjective Hobbesian all the time. Hobbesian philosophy. Eh. Yeah, I don't know if I want to live to 100 or not. Um, Now you're younger, so your 100's going to be different than my 100. Because your 100's going to be farther in the future. So the question is, do you want to live in that world? Like, let's say you're 25. That's 75 years from now. That's the year 2100, 2099. Going to be a interesting world if it's still around, of course. No, it's not rude. So 100 would be half my life again. I'm 66. So you take half my life. Yeah. It would be half of my life again. So it still feels a little out there. It still feels a little far away. Um, Now, one thing about getting older that I've noticed from all my friends here, I'm in a place that has a lot of retirees, is that people's bodies get old, but their minds are still like they're your age. I mean, we don't think that differently than when we were younger. Yeah, 34 doesn't sound like much unless you consider it half your life. Then it sounds like a lot more. It's yeah, our most people that are old don't think old. Some do, but most don't. Most people think just like when they were younger. That's why nostalgia is so popular. We were talking about that. I moved to Arizona as a young boy, so I spent most of my life there. Yeah. I grew up in the Midwest as a child, and then I I don't know why I have these headphones on because they're not plugged in. I could take my headset off. I'm not listening to any music. That's strange. They had my headphones on. Um, yeah, Midwest. I'm talking Illinois, and then we moved to Arizona when I was 7 years old, and I lived there till I was 62. And I went to school in Hawaii for a brief period. Missouri shouldn't be in the Midwest. Yeah, it's considered the Midwest though. Um, so I guess yeah, it's one of those things. It's not clearly defined. Most people would consider Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, those places to be the Midwest. Yeah, coming from a British person. So Missouri is one of those states that it is the Midwest, but the Mississippi River runs along Missouri. And when you get down to St. Louis has a bit of a southern feel. Um, Most of the early rock and rollers were from the South, and Chuck Berry was from St. Louis. Um, and that's a really good example. Chuck Berry feels a little bit Southern, but he also listened to a lot of country Western music. He used to listen to R&B and country both. So yeah, Missouri's a bit of a hybrid culturally now. I'm not talking geographically. Sexy Red 3. I don't know who that is. Sexy Red 3. You have to tell me who that is. You got me on that one. Yeah, I presumed a rapper. Yeah, I don't know. One of the new ones. Okay. A very loud person. The other really famous musician that came out of St. Louis was Miles Davis. But now we're talking jazz. Miles Davis and Ginger Baker would probably kill each other. No quarter. There's a good British phrase, no quarter. Miles would say, I want you to play it this way, and Ginger would say, I'll play it any fucking way I want to. But Baker was a good jazz drummer. He would have been able to play with Miles if they had gotten along. You know, if their personalities didn't clash, they would be musically compatible. Because Ginger could play anything. I think he's one was one of the most phenomenal drummers. Yeah, see, I know a lot about Lou Reed. Damon Albarn, who I'm a fan of, I don't know much about him personally. I didn't know he was a controlling person. I love Gorillas, by the way. That's one of my favorite 21st century bands. So yeah, Damon. I don't know anything about his personality. Okay, yeah, I didn't know that about him because he collaborates with so many people. I just presumed, you know, just presumed he was an easygoing guy. It's interesting. Nardwar. I do not know Nardwar. Sounds like a metal band. Let me check that out. Oh, okay. Canadian radio personality and musician. 56 years old. Garage rock, punk rock. Wow. Okay. No, I don't know anything about him. Interesting. Noted for his excitable and eccentric personality. A typical Nardwar interview will begin with, "Who are you?" Talk about philosophy and existentialism. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I have to confess to he did Kurt Cobain's last interview. Interesting. Um, Speaking of Blur, like I'm really ambivalent about Britpop. It does I don't know, it doesn't sound as fresh to my ears. It all sounds like the Kinks to me. There's a couple Blur songs that I really like, but and I like Oasis quite a bit, but I just never I just never really got into Britpop, especially Pulp. Okay, Sonic Youth. I'm a big Sonic Youth fan. Good for them. You're not a fan of Britpop, okay? Because that's almost like sacrilege, you know. If you don't like Britpop, Britpop, something's wrong with you. But I just I like it. I just don't love it. I don't know if it's just that it was introducing this music to a new generation, and I wasn't of that generation, so it's like I've heard this before. Because I love a real Britishness in music. You know, I mentioned the Kinks. I'm a huge Kinks fan. Uh, but it seemed to me that they cast a really long shadow, the Kinks, and to a certain extent, the Who and the Stones, but mostly the Kinks, because they really embrace that Britishness, and I love it. Um, and then Britpop came around and kind of recycled that, and I don't know, it just felt like it'd been done before. Yeah, I love British rock. Sorry, love British rock, but I understand, and I love post punk, and most of that's British. You hate David Gilmour. I don't hate him. Um, yeah, elaborate maybe, huh? I'm curious why you hate him. I mean, do you hate him as a personality or as a musician? As a person, okay. Most people hate Roger Waters. That's why I'm interested in your comment. There's probably more Gilmore fans than Waters fans out there. Yeah, they've had so many lawsuits against each other. Okay. Huh. Yeah, and I don't know enough of the modern backstory. I know a lot of the backstory of the early Pink Floyd days. So, my take on that, I know you didn't ask my opinion, but my favorite Pink Floyd albums have a real nice balance and tension between the two of them. I agree with you that the last Pink Floyd albums were awful, but I also think the final cut was a pretty flawed album as well, which Waters really dominated. And so I think if either one of those people dominate the band, it's not as good as when the two work together, and especially when they work in tandem with Rick Wright. Maybe tandem's the wrong word. Does that mean two? Anyway, when Wright, Gilmore, and Waters all worked together and spread their ideas around, I think that's when they made the best music. So I don't really like anything post The Wall. The Wall was the last album I really cared about. And I'm not that crazy about Pink Floyd or Waters or Gilmore or anything that anyone's done since '80. Yeah, Wish You Were Here is my favorite album. Absolutely. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Love the title track. Yeah, I like the early Pink Floyd too. So, um, yeah, I like most everything up through The Wall. So that's The Wall is now 44 years old, 45 years old. So that's a long time to go. And I'm not saying that these guys haven't put out good stuff, but pretty inconsistent. Now, in Gilmore's defense, he did produce Sid Barrett's solo material, and that's the guy he was replacing in the band. So that sounds a little complicated to me. Yeah, I mean, Barrett was brilliant, but he flamed out in 18 months. I mean, his whole career was 18 months. Um, and then he started being, I don't know, paranoid schizophrenic or whatever he was diagnosed with and detached from reality. I like those Barrett solo albums fairly well. I won't say they're, 5-star albums or anything, but they're pretty good. I mean, that's their whole stories like that. When I talk about Gilmore replaced Barrett but produced his solo material, everything about that band was complicated in terms of relationship dynamics. It's really hard for me to judge. I remember too when the lawsuit over the name Pink Floyd, when the judge said, "Well, nobody's using it, so you can't not use something that valuable." So then Gilmore got to take the name, and I think that caused a lot of bitterness between them because there was a lot of money involved with that name. But I think Waters was thinking more like, well, it's not Pink Floyd. Yeah, I agree with you. I think when Gilmore took the name in court from Waters, yeah, they should have let it rest, but it was too much money. So it was a commercial decision. There's a lot of people to blame with that because there's the public who gets attached to a name, and then there's the record labels who want maximum return on their investment. Yeah, so the first couple Waters solo albums have have a couple good songs. I like this song called "The Tide Is Turning" from his second album. That's probably my favorite Roger Waters. I've heard a little bit of his remake of Dark Side of the Moon, and it's just baffling. I can't even say it's bad or awful. It's just confounding. It's such a strange creative decision. That's a really interesting comment. So, what would you say is your hip hop? Okay, country. Okay, do you listen in to any country hip hop? Yeah, I tried to write a country rap song one time, and I only got 3 lines. I'm out of luck in my pickup truck. Can't make a buck. Don't give a fuck. That's as far as I got. I saw this guy on TV the other day. Yeah, country. I grew up on country. That was my father's favorite music. And I dislike a lot of stuff on the radio, but like the old classic country and then the new Americana. Um, I'm going through a list of my favorite artists, and so the classic people that I like Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings, Emmylou Harris. The new stuff, I'm more, yeah. You mentioned Zach Bryan, but the new stuff in the 21st century, I tend to lean more towards Americana artists like Lucinda Williams or trying to think who else. I don't know. You wouldn't call them pure country. But I saw this guy on TV the other day. Oh, Hank Williams Sr., one of my favorites. He was a lyrical genius. He could write the simplest lyrics, and if they seemed simple, try writing like Hank Williams. Like to write in rhyme like he did. Um, yeah, Hank was phenomenal. And Hank could be funny. If you ever listen to the song, have you ever listened to the song "Move It On Over"? So people who know that song, because George Thorogood covered it, a bunch of people have covered it. People who like the song don't know what it's about. He comes home drunk. and his wife has changed the locks on the front door, so he can't get in the house. So he goes to the doghouse, the literal doghouse, not the metaphorical doghouse, and tells his dog to move it on over. The big dog's coming in. He's got to spend the night with his dog outside. That's what that song's about. And it's funny. It's hilarious. Like if you know what the song's about, it'll enrich in it for you. It'll make the song 10 times better when you realize how friggin' funny it is. Yeah, I'm not a big Hank Williams Jr. fan. Hank 3 is interesting though. Uh, but yeah, Junior, not my cup of tea. You just use that phrase. I love it. I was just talking about that earlier. Vapid was on here and he didn't know what that meant. He's like, I don't know what that means. I'm like, ugh, okay. Just so you know, Obed, I'm going to wrap up the live stream in 6 minutes. When it hits 2 hours, I'm going to close it out. You haven't eaten anything yet since I've been watching? No. Um, I went to a restaurant before I logged on and had shrimp and chicken and quesadillas. Sounds good, huh? It's a tough life, I'm telling you. Now, I've really enjoyed talking to you a lot. It doesn't mean I want to end the stream. I'm just thinking about, I'm going to be uploading it. And I'm just thinking about how long I should have it. Um, but I wish you the very best of luck in your performance. When is it? May I ask when you're doing the show? The women's charity event, the women's songwriter thing? Okay. So a couple other Hank Williams songs, if I may recommend them, just to give you the whole palette of what he could do. I'll pick three songs, and that's because they're radically different. Okay, Move It On Over is really funny. Lovesick Blues, really a wonderful, serious song. And then I Saw the Light is a gospel song about death. They're completely different. These three songs couldn't be more diametrically different from each other. And I think if you were to play those three songs, you'd be like, wow, this guy's really got range because it's something that we overlook sometimes. We listen to a few Hank Williams songs, we go, okay, he sounds like a one trick pony on first listen, but he really had three or four distinct styles or subject matters he could sing about. Um, Gospel, which, I don't ascribe to the philosophy. I love gospel music. Country gospel, I love it. Doesn't mean I agree with it personally, but I love it as music. Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. But Hank was, if I go listen to Mr. Thug Isolation by Little Ugly Mane. Okay. So let me ask you this question. Mr. Thug Isolation by Little Ugly Mane. Is that a really good song? Or are you just interested in what I think of it? Oh, okay. I mean, is it worth reacting to? on the channel. That's because I don't want to record a video if I'm not going to like it. Okay, so maybe listen to it off channel. Oh, okay. It's a critically acclaimed album. Well, then let me look into it and um okay. Let me evaluate whether or not I want to do it on or off channel, but either way, um and are you a subscriber to my channel? If you're not, I can always use another subscriber. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Denzel Curry, by the way, is fabulous. And the only reason I haven't done more by him is because he's a blocker. The first Denzel Curry reaction I did got copyright blocked. And later, like a couple months after I recorded it, the block was suddenly lifted for no apparent reason. So then I uploaded it, but uh, that's why I haven't done Denzel Curry. But to tell you the honest truth, I think Denzel Curry, from the couple songs I've heard, is brilliant. Yeah, it's the record labels. So, like anything with Sony, if anyone's on a Sony affiliated label, forget it. Universal Music Group, which is Warner Brothers and all these things, I just can't do videos on those channels. And sometimes it's because I do a video. So sometimes the record label's okay with the music, but sometimes, like, I've had Beggar's Banquet, which I think is out of England, has blocked a lot of my videos. But if I obscure the video, I can get the audio through. So yeah, it's sometimes people own the video, and someone else owns the music, and someone will block the visual part of my reaction, but they don't care about the music. So I'm still learning after 2.5 years. Yeah, just commerce, but it's ridiculous though because reactors are giving people free promotion and not taking any of the money. Yeah, and so I have a few people. So like the other day, I'm a big John Cale fan from the Velvet Underground. I got to see John Cale one time in concert, and I had a video. All the money was going to him, and all of a sudden one day I got an email that John Cale was sharing revenue with me. Now this is, of course, long after I uploaded it, so I'm not going to make any money off it, but it was still a really nice gesture that somebody as famous and as big as John Cale changed his policy from ineligible to revenue sharing. So, in other words, I might make a nickel off his video, but the point is, I don't care. It's just a very nice gesture that someone of his stature, and then someone like the band The Eagles is notorious for no exceptions ever. Like all their material is blocked. Of course, I don't do the Eagles because it's last century, but you get my point. So I'm going to go ahead and log off, Obed. I thank you very much for your time and I wish you good luck on your performance. And it was really a pleasure chatting to you. And thanks for subscribing. And hope you have a great day or a great night. I guess it is in England now. Um, yeah, you take care. That's wonderful. I'll look for you when you're famous. Okay. As we say here in Bonita, Mexico, buen dia.